So a question we get asked a ton and always comes up early on in conversations, especially when we're working with someone, for the first time, are legal marketing directories worth it? And how do you figure out which ones to invest in?
Yeah. I'll just start the answer. Everything is it depends, right? Always. But I think that there's more good than bad in legal directories, but it's so case specific. So let's talk like broad strokes. Everybody should have listings in all the legal directories on a free basis, like Justia, Avo, FindLaw, and anything you can get for free in those primary directories.
Do it.
Yeah, sign up. There's SEO benefit to it. You get a link back to your site. It's a name, address, phone number citation, and they're authoritative, regardless of what we...
That's very low-hanging fruit.
It is. Yeah. It's just easy. So that's like, the short answer to that is do it. The more difficult question is, should you pay for paid
Premium.
placements? Yeah, like everybody, like all the directories have their own names for things, right? So FindLaw and Super Lawyers have like top spots and spotlight listings. Justia has like platinum and gold, like, and so on. So the way that we generally think about it is, if you're the type of firm that wants to have absolute market saturation, then the answer is probably yes. Because from what we've seen over a decade of doing SEO and other marketing for firms is that these directories rank on the first page.
Yes.
Almost always. They may not, all four of the big ones might not all be there at the same time, but most of them are going to be there. So if that's your MO, if you're like, we just want to be everywhere all the time, probably. Is it going to be expensive? Probably yes as well. If you're not that firm that just wants to say like, I want to be everywhere all the time, then the kind of general calculation that we would think about is, how much estimated traffic are you going to get to that directory?
Yeah.
And then compare that to, can you get the same traffic through another source? Usually we'll compare it to like Google Ads, because it's really easy to like compare the money of those two. So let's just say, oh, do you think you're going to get 20 visitors to a Justia directory in a month for $300? Like, do you think you could get that same traffic in ads? Probably not. So that would be like a lean in the category of yes, that's a better investment than setting up ads and having to manage it. Because the other thing that's nice about directories is that you don't have to do anything.
Right.
Like, you pay the money. Those companies are investing in their own SEO, competing against you oftentimes, which is this comes full circle in a lot of different ways. But for the most part, I mean, the answer is, it generally makes sense unless there's something wrong with the cost, meaning like the companies that are selling these services are just kind of out of line with what the market should be, or if they're overly saturated. Sometimes you can't buy a placement in a directory because it's sold out.
Right.
And sometimes it's so saturated that if there is a placement, it just doesn't matter because you're not going to get the visibility percentage that you need. So a lot of things to go into it, but all good things to talk about with your marketing agency is really kind of the outcome.
And if you are going to pay, you do want to make sure, even though it is kind of a set it and forget it once you pay for it, you want to make sure you really are thoughtful about the information you put and that it's all super accurate and that it matches everything. And for some of those sponsored or premium listings, there might be other opportunities like contributed content options. So making sure you're if you're going to make that investment, thinking through all the ways that you can really get the most out of it.
Yeah, that's a great thing to bring up. I mean, the contributed content. So for folks that might not be understanding exactly what that means, like, you may get opportunities to produce and publish on those websites that you wouldn't get through if
by
you
just
weren't
being
paying.
a free listing.
Yeah, and the other thing too that's really important to hit on is you have to track this stuff, right? I mean, it's when you set up a paid directory and listing, just like if you set up anything else that's advertising, you can set up tracking numbers, you can set up tracking who comes to the site and fills out a form. All those things can be done, and just audit them just like you'd audit everything else.
Yeah.
I think sometimes that's something that goes underutilized, mostly because some firms go, well, I've had this forever, and if I give it up, then somebody else is going to step in my place and I'll never get it back. And
you shouldn't be thinking, is it performing well or not? You should know if you're getting,
Yeah, well said.
Yeah.
Yeah.